hello. Welcome back to our mini Kwentuhan series. This is your host, Chachi, and I have three lovely Kasamas here with us having this conversation about mental health within the community, specifically about body shaming. From the right side of my screen, we'll start to intro yourself, personal pronouns, and what Filipino food describes you.
Hey, hi everyone. My name is Blessy Sawit. My pronouns are she, her, hers. Say kare kare because in terms of like my personality, it may seem jumbled at first when I meet you. And I'm not for everyone, I would say. I'm not everyone's cup of tea, but for the people who do love kare kare, or like my close friends, I would say it can be like a warm, comforting like personality, I would think. But yeah.
My name is Alia Rasul, pronouns she, her, hers, and I guess food. I guess some palo, because like maybe I'm sweet on the outside, but I got a kick. I'll surprise you. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Mark Mercado. My pronouns are he, him, and the Filipino food, I guess, pinakbet, because, well, from what I see from it, I devour it. It's so good. Not like I eat myself, but it's really colorful. When you look at it, it's really colorful. And I feel like I'm a very colorful person. I'm a very bright person. And another thing, I'm gay, so the colors of the flag is rainbow. So yeah, well, I just outed myself. Okay, anyways, that's all I have.
Kwentuhan series, and today we're going to be starting with a topic that is very big in our community, which is body shaming in our Filipino culture. We will be having a kind of like a talk story conversation with a back and forth conversation with these three amazing, I would say, guests or kasama to have this conversation, which has a big advocate for mental health. The two questions that we brought up for our IG post was, how did body shaming affect your ability to perform at life, and how do you respond to comments made by other people that imply about our own weight? I know that is a very loaded question, but we're going to start first with the creator behind the TikTok that started the discussion. And can I have our kasama Mark kind of share a little bit about like what inspired him, what was the thought process behind this TikTok?
We don't like that. Now, a lot of us experience this in the Filipino community. I know, I've been there. You know, our elders would be like, oh, you got so fat.
Well, the first thought I had in my head was just like recent experiences in my family. Not well, for me, I've experienced body shaming as a kid, and growing up, I I try not to care, but it really gets into your brain, and that just like it really affects how you perform at life. And with the TikTok, how I was inspired to make that TikTok was because one of my family members, they weren't necessarily been body shamed how what their size is. They were body shamed how their skin looked, and there were just so many like wrongful things that were said to them, like, you look ugly, or you're not gonna get a boyfriend like that. And it's just like, are you serious? You're gonna say that to my sister? Like that's my sister. And I just feel bad because I just know that she feels really bad. And then I remember one time that she was just tired of it. The plane. She was just tired of it. And she was like, she expressed her anger, which is valid. Her feelings are valid, right? She expressed her anger, but the other person was like, I'm just helping you. I'm just making you like, I'm just trying to fix you. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's not good. Sorry, the plane. But it's just, that really hurts my feeling. And I'm just, as an older brother, I just really want to heal her from that. And I'm doing my best for her to heal completely. Not, it's gonna take a while, but I just want her to feel beautiful, whatever when she looks. And that's the first step for everyone, for ourselves as well, if we were ever victims of body shaming.
Oh, thanks for sharing that. I'm curious, like you mentioned that there was a lot of conversation when you posted, and I wonder if there were any other things that people share that really stuck with you.
Well, there was a lot. I have to go back and look through it. I was reading through the comments 2 nights ago, and my heart just broke. And I guess one thing was, this comment goes, "My tita came up to me at a family event once. She had to ask in a really loud voice that carried over everyone, 'Anak, you're so skinny. Do you have anorexia?'" And I relate to it so much, because one point in my life, I was really skinny. I think I was 15, 14 years old. I was really skinny. And people would tell me, "Well, you look like you're dying." And I'm just like, "What? Are you serious?" Like, just people, not even my family members, just like other elders as well from, my school, I guess relatives as well. It's just like, I didn't mind it then, but right now I'm just like, wow, they really said that to me. It's really hurtful. Some people have the strength to like handle it, but a lot of people don't have the strength to handle it. So just the whole point about try to like be human is just to be human, just watch what you say, always filter what you say, because whatever you say is not, it might be offensive to someone. And even right now, like recently, I take it too hard. Just, they're like, "Oh, you're so skinny. Why don't you build muscle? I feel like you'll be more of a man if you have like more muscle." I'm just like, I don't know. There's something iffy about that makes me feel kind of weird about it. If you know what I mean, I don't know how to explain it. Do you guys? Does anyone want to like add on to that?
So, yeah, bless you. I don't know if you had anything to add, and I can hop on too.
I think you can go first. Yeah.
Sure. So yeah, I really resonate with a lot of the things that you say, Mark, and it sucks to see that despite where we are, like where we've, there's been a lot of conversations around with body positivity and with, Lizzo and shadeism with Asia Jackson and all of this like new language and understanding of anorexia and like despite all of that very like all that information, that we're still here and we have to go to the source, right? Like the fat phobia and the shadeism and the comes from like a very colonized Eurocentric perspective, right? It's like if you're fair skinned, if you're tall, if you're a certain body type, you're more likely to be successful. That's really code of saying like the more proximate you are to whiteness, the more successful you are. And that is a like resilient impact of colonialism. And it's so hard because at the end of the day, it just says, if you're Filipino, you're not enough. How does a young person who's already dealing with so much, how do you like resolve that? So for me, one of my things that I've been doing recently is taking back the word fat. And I'm not the first one to say it. And I'm actually like not really for body positivity or whatever. I like body neutrality, meaning people should accept you as you are. You're enough. wherever you are, whatever your skin color is, like you are enough. For me, so imagine this, right? Last year was a pandemic year, but it was one of the most successful years I've had as an artist and a creator. I published a book. I got a TV show greenlit. I'm showing off now. So got a TV show greenlit. I created a documentary. And the thing that one of my relatives said to me, despite all that, was like, you could be so successful if you just lost weight. And I'm like, it's like they erase what you do. It's almost like you're nothing that you say, nothing that you do, none of the success you have matters unless you look a certain way. And if you really look at that up, paper like that doesn't make any sense. Now it's just like, we have to fight against this because this is how colonialism rears its internalized colonialism rears its ugly head. But it's a fight. And yeah, it just makes me so sad that, like, I mean, y'all look younger than me. So it just makes me sad that it seems like the next generation is still dealing with this. So I think we need to do better for sure.
I'm really glad, like, just to continue the conversation, I'm really glad that you were able to share that with us. Thank you so much. Yeah, honestly, I think to like tie it back to the discussion post that we posted on our Instagram feed or on our social media, someone commented, being big led me to making myself small in every other way possible to compensate for my physical form. I'm unpacking it to this day. And so honestly, like, I wouldn't consider myself a bigger person. I would probably say I'm mid-size, but I've seen friends who have been hurt and try to shrink in the background because they felt like they were taking up too much space. But it hurts me to like hear their point of view and saying like, oh, I'm only noticed as like the big friend who's used for like comedic relief. And then like we see that often in like TV shows. And I'm like, why doesn't the bigger person get like the main character? Or like, where's the representation in that? And honestly, like how you said, like being yourself in whatever body should be enough. And so like, I think one of the questions, like just to jump ahead just a little bit, it's like, how do you respond to comments made by other people that imply about like your own weight? I think like for me as an affirmation, because I do like, sometimes I'm like, I compare myself to like the super skinny models in like magazines. And honestly, especially with like the rise in K-pop, I don't know if you've heard, but like a lot of the stars fit a certain size and they're like around a size 2 in American like American measurements. And it doesn't make sense to me why someone with a different body type can't be exactly or like just as successful and happy. And so like I tell myself like my body got me to where I am today, and each day it's work. Like when I wake up, like despite my weight, my body's like healthy, or like it, like just for me, it's like my body's healthy, it's working, I'm waking up, I have no problems. It's like I shouldn't have to nitpick like the numbers on a scale just to be happy. And so yeah, like it just hurts me because I don't think people should say, oh, I'm taking up too much space, because everyone deserves to take up space. Everyone, no matter what size. Yeah.
Yep.
And you guys brought up like a lot of really great points, and I really appreciate like all the discussion being made. But one thing that I wanna, and I'm gonna go back slowly, but one thing that Aliyah, you mentioned is even this next generation is facing this situation, especially because what we see in like the media, I'll use this film from I Want TFC as an example. The character that they cast was a really skinny person, and they use a fat suit to do this transformation, and it kind of gave like a, I guess a wrong message that you like no plus size person can fit this role. Like, why do a skinny person have to do this kind of switch? So it's already implying that many plus size won't be as successful as like someone who's very petite is. Yeah.
Yep. That's just lazy writing. You know what I mean? So I'm a comedian, right?
Mhm.
And the thing with comedy is if you punch up, that's comedy. Comedy is made to it actually has like a really important political reason for it. It's like the Joker. You always punch up so that you can comment on the powers that be. It's a tool for the masses. So when you punch down, so if you're like making fun of someone who's marginalized, that's not comedy, it's bullying. Right? And so a lot of comedy caters to like that kind of bullying perspective because it's like the lowest common denominator. You know, we need to take the high road, but it's easy to laugh at people. Like it's easy to like bully people. You know, so yeah, for me, like I don't know. There were two questions. So Blessy, you mentioned like, what do you say when people bring that up, like your weight or whatever? I just don't have the conversation. Like, sorry, this is not for you to comment on. Next question. And Chachi, like with that, I don't know, just reflecting back on like, especially as a writer and a TV writer, I'd be like, just do better. There's so many more interesting stories out there. Like, like how many more fat suit comedies can there exist? Like, just you need to demand more. So I really am I'm grateful that you're criticizing that kind of work. So yeah.
I want to add.
Okay.
Okay. Oh yeah. I feel like adding on to all of your guys' points. I feel like Hollywood, they do a lot. They base on your size as comedic relief, right? And you know what's weird is that if the main character is either fat or skinny, then the story revolves around that. And you know, if the person's skinny, then the story is like about anorexia. If the person is fat, then the story is about like I guess one Netflix show or movie was about like this girl like believing that she won't be loved. I don't know the storyline, but it would be cool if it's just just a regular story. It doesn't have to revolve around what they look like. I mean, it can if just to empower other people, but it's just you know what I mean. It's just weird how Hollywood does that. And just another point about comedy, I feel like there are so many stand-up comedians who joke about other people's how they look like, right? Like for example, remember that Will Smith incident? He made a joke about what's his name? Chris Rock. Chris Rock made a joke about Will Smith's wife, Jada, because she had alopecia, a medical condition. And he used that as a joke, and it got me reflecting on like other stand-up comedians just using people's how they look like as a joke, and you never know if they have a medical condition or not, or even if it's permanent or whatever. We gotta be considerate with other people.
Yep, you gotta punch up. you know. Yeah, sorry, Blessy, were you gonna say something?
Just completely agreeing with that, with what you and Mark said.
Yeah. I think, sorry, Chachi, were you gonna ask the next question?
I was, but then you can continue.
No,
It's okay.
Go for it.
Okay, mine was gonna be transitioning into the Instagram post that I sent over the group chat, and it was Dr. Rona's Instagram post about how Filipinx American or Filipino in general body image issue stems from our intergenerational trauma lens, and I think like it's important to acknowledge that because even now I've noticed that even in my family or my community or my friends or my close circles, I think body shaming or this, I guess, body dysmorphic body shaming is like part in our kind of like circles in our family that, and it's something that I know we had a conversation with this Mark about like how it stems from our tita's insecurities. And I kind of wanted to ask how, if you experienced it or have a loved one experience, like how were you able to, I guess I'm trying to ask is how are you able to make amends with it or kind of help yourself or help someone who had to go through or still is going through with body image issues?
I haven't personally experienced from my family members, but just the whole me being thinking that I'm dying, I look like I'm dying. But from what I see from like other people, from my friends and relatives from like across the country, they always tell me these things, how they're always expected to look a certain way. Their parents are telling them to look a certain way. They're any elders are telling them to look a certain way, and I feel like uh, those people who are telling them that are the ones who are insecure of that, and they're projecting their insecurities on other people, and they just want to see. I just feel like they want to see themselves onto the next generation. They want to see these beauty standards they have for themselves on their kids, and that's just full on toxic, and we need to fix that. I haven't really like the only person I've only talked to about body shaming was just my sister and um her skin condition, but I haven't really like been in a deep conversation with other people and with my friends because I feel like I'm being too insensitive with them or something. Like if I don't want to trigger them, but I feel like that's something I need to work on. I they need someone to look out to. So yeah, I'm still working on that. But yeah, it's just something that I just noticed with my friends and relatives. Yeah, I just feel like that just stems from insecurity from our elders, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. One of the most interesting things to happen during the pandemic is there's lots of bad things that happen during the pandemic. Being in lockdown, one of the most interesting things is like you're no longer in the public gaze, right? That's why there's a lot of these things where, oh, we're letting ourselves go now, we're in jogging pants, doesn't matter because no one else is looking at you. So what happens is you're not concerned with a lot of people's fat phobia, right? So I'm not looking at myself in the mirror being like, oh, does this make me look fat? It doesn't matter. I don't even think about it during lockdown. So the interesting thing that comes out is like you get to focus on your own internalized fat phobia. My own internalized fat phobia, the voice inside that says you're fat, you're not good enough, you're not tall enough, you're not white enough, your nose isn't sharp enough, you don't have the best skin. So it was just me and that person, and like reflecting what Blessy said, like this is the body that gave me the life that I want and that I enjoy. Building that relationship with myself and really learning to love my body and who I am also empowers you to. So if a tita, and this has happened, a tita comes and he's like, wants to make a comment on my body, this is what I said. I said, hey, did it? So if someone's like, hey, you would just be so happy if you ... I'm like, does it not occur to you that I'm pretty happy where I am right now? And, whatever your opinion on my body is your business. It's not mine. So I don't need to hear it, because me hearing it makes me feel sad. And I don't think you want me to feel sad, right? So if that's all right, you're not welcome to talk about this with me anymore. And so every time they do try, I'm like, I'm sorry, you're still not welcome to talk about this anymore. I'm just trying to survive and live my life. For whatever reason, you hate the way I look. That's your problem. That's how I deal with that.
Thank you for sharing, Leah. I think, I guess, Blessy, if you wanted to also add on.
Yeah, I just wanted to add like a quick thing. Like a while back, I saw a post that says like a lot of Asian immigrants are like, how do I explain this? Like the children, like the second generation, or like the younger generation. There you go. The younger generation has to deal with like hearing these difficult things from our elders and our parents. And then they said to like forgive your parents. Not that they're asking for forgiveness, but like forgive them because that's the way that they were like brought up. And so the only way that they think like for them, like, oh, like I was raised this way, so I'm going to raise my child this way. And so now that like the younger generation is like starting to realize like that's not how we want to raise our kids, or like that tradition or like that mindset is not correct. I think it's important, like you said, like it's important to take into consideration like the intergenerational trauma. And like while we're changing like what's happening to like how we raise our kids, or like how we're treating our peers, like we have to like, I think, come to terms with that's just how the older generation was, and it's up to us to bear the responsibility to change it. Like we need to break that, because if we're saying like, oh, like acting the same way that our parents did, the chain is just going to keep going. Like if we're like, oh, I was raised that way, so I'll raise my kids this way, then it's just going to keep going like generation after generation. So it's like it's up to us to take on the responsibility to break that and be like, that's not how I want my kids to see themselves, like no matter what. Like I just want them to know that like they're enough. And so yeah, it was interesting because like just thinking about how our titas and titos say like comment on our our body or like our appearance. It was interesting to see like that post that say like you have to forgive them, because that's just, they dealt with that also as well. So it was like I had to take a step back, and I was like, oh, I didn't know I could just like forgive them or like be the better person, because we're so used to pointing fingers like, oh, it was my tito that did this, or like my tita. And then it's like, but they had to deal with that trauma as well. It's so interesting. Sorry. Yeah.
Could I just like respond to that really quick? I think that's really powerful, Blessy. Like, I think forgiveness is so important. I think that that's like a real foundation for healthy communications, and that's like really the main thing. On one hand, making comments like that is sort of like a love language, but at the same time, if it hurts you, the younger generation also needs to be able to draw healthy boundaries. So I think it's always going to be that back and forth. And I think forgiveness is nice so long as it's not a toxic situation, right? Because then there's like toxic, like that's like, there's also toxic positivity. I guess like fast forward to the actual point I'm trying to make is it's not just for the next generations. Like once young folks realize, you know, you're enough, you'd be surprised too at the effect it has on older generations. I have a friend who is going through that journey right now. And she's like, oh, you know what? I actually love my body. And you know what happened? Her mom jumped on that journey with her. So it's actually like healing your generation doesn't only impact future generations. It's already impactful and powerful now. Like, because our parents went through that, because they had so much, they had to survive, they had to move countries, you know what I mean? They never had time to heal. And we could all, like, our healing could also include them. So I think, you know, yeah. So I really resonate. Like, yes, forgiveness, and let's figure out how to talk together so we can all heal together. You know, some of our parents are in the 50s, they still have time. Like, you know, spend the rest of your time all the way through retirement feeling sexy as hell. I want that for you, Tina baby. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, let's just all feel great together. Why not?
I think that was really powerful. Thank you, Blessy, for bringing that up, and thank you, Leo, for like expanding it on. I think like the bigger picture is like when it comes to topics like this just one of the many topics that needs to be talked about in our community, but it's I think it's really giving our parents, our family, kind of like that patience, because they were in a different time period than we are. Like, they were in a survival mentality mindset that they didn't have time to think about all this, like things about like weight, about anything, about our feelings or bother anything. They only focus about like what they can do to survive. So like emotions and all this, what we're feeling as a Gen Z, as a millennial, isn't what they grew up. So that was really powerful. Like, I think that kind of hit me in the heart when you guys were kind of expanding it. I was like, that's a really good point to really emphasize more. And then Mark, if you wanna add on.
Yeah, oh my gosh, I totally agree with both your guys' points. I feel like we don't necessarily have to like teach them, oh, but this being being this size is beautiful. Is beautiful. I feel like they won't understand that because, you know, they were just, you know, what you guys said, they weren't healed. But I feel like we should treat the way they weren't treated by their parents. We should treat them the way they weren't treated before, in order for them to heal. You know what I mean? Not necessarily like scolding them, but like, you know, just changing this whole world and inspiring the next generation to do that. And what Aliyah said, Aliyah, right? Is it Aliyah? Aliyah? Okay, yeah. What from what Aliyah said, it's already impacting the older generation. So yeah, I do agree with both of you guys' points. I do agree. And then I want to add one more thing. I think one thing that elders have to understand is when they body shame their children, they got to understand that they made their children. So they're really body shaming themselves as well. So they got to think about that too. So yeah.
Yeah.
I guess a really good way to kind of like wrap things up is like, what is that one advice you wish you would have needed to hear, or want to give to anyone that will be playing this or listening to this?
I could go first. I guess when I was younger, I would prevent myself from doing activities or taking on classes because I was afraid of how I looked, like in ballet, like in a ballet outfit, or just like how I ran or in a swimsuit. I really wish someone had told me, like, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how you look to other people doing that activity. What matters is how you feel doing that activity. That's it. Swim because you want to. Pirouette because it makes you feel good. You know what I mean? So it's harder said than done, but I really wish someone pushed me to stick on instead of me obsessing about my bill and like, you know, and my ballet clothes. So just do it, I guess, as Nike says. Hashtag Tabachoy power. You know what I mean?
I could go next. I like what Aaliyah said, basically. Like, it doesn't matter. And I hope that if someone is still hesitant about loving their body, they realize that this is your life, not theirs. They're not paying for it. I mean, okay, let's not count finances, but basically, like, you're living your life for you, and what people say shouldn't dictate how you live it. It may take a while. Like, I'm still on that self-love journey, trying to accept like how I look in a swimsuit, or like whether this crop top will look good on me, even if my gut is showing, you know. It's just, like I said before, your body got you to where you are, and it's going to get you to where you want to be in the future. And it's just a process of learning that your physical appearance doesn't dictate or like determine like your worth. Yeah.
I love those advices. I really love it. And for me personally, I grew up believing that I wasn't lovable. I know, I'm sorry, but I grew up thinking that no one would love me because of how I look. Because, you know, even one time I was really skinny. As a kid, I was really like, I was like not on a healthy diet. Even my doctor said, and then I got body shamed for that as well. I believe that I wasn't lovable too. I believe that I won't find anyone. Oh my gosh, I'm so corny, but but it's true. I believed in that. I mean, I still do, and it's not healthy. So what I would say to my younger self is that no, it doesn't matter how you look like. It matters how you um show yourself with your heart. It matters inside, right? That's the most corniest way to put it, but it's true. It's about your personality. It's about how you give to the world, and not how you look like, and what. Even with clothes as well too. It doesn't matter how you physically look like. It matters how you treat others with kindness and consideration, and all of that. And people, your authenticity, your genuinity with yourself and with other people feel that, and people really see that as charming. So I'm telling you that myself as well too. Right now, I still need to believe in that. So I need to get that in my brain. So yeah, that's all I have.
Yeah, and one thing that I wanted to add on is like this conversation, like with you three, even if it's the first time being really back, like it's really nice to hear the different perspective, and it was a really honor to have you, Alia, as like part of like our very first Kwentuhan, because like there is just so much that you have added on, and then that really kind of, I never thought of it that way. And I maybe in a part 2 we can continue and like how and what others respond when they hear this recording. Or, yeah.
yeah, thanks so much for having me.
I
Thank
think
you. It was nice speaking with all of you.
I agree.